And Joe Rogan said, if I hunt an elk and I only hunt elk or any other large animal, I'm only killing that large animal. Um, and even if you were to factor in the gun that he uses, or if he uses a bow and arrow, or if he like has ammunition, like obviously his effect on the planet is, or animals, is much different than a vegan living in the city who drives or takes the bus to go and grab some avocados that came from South America. So
First off, avocados don't have to come from South America. They grow in California. I'm pretty sure they grow in Florida. But yeah, it's a factor in the grand scheme of things. But I just want to point out real quick what she's pointing out, which is these are topics that we really, I believe, all need to get into, is that yeah, killing an elk in the forest is way better than what we're currently doing, and by we I mean just the majority with factory farming.
so vegans, when vegans heard this from,
Oh, but comparing it to what vegans do, um, yeah, I don't. It's complicated. So one thing I would say is these people that are eating a vegan diet living in some city, you got to look at okay, so what would you recommend they do if you're saying that the elk situation causes less harm? So then are you saying that they need to figure out a way to get off the grid or to at least live out of the city? And if you're not saying that, then are you saying that they should take time to figure out how to go and hunt some elk? Because I don't know which different type of people have more time for something like that. But yeah, I mean, it would come down to a handful of different things, and we'd have to be able to actually get some stats, look at the numbers, figure out what's going on. But if farmers pay hunters to come and shoot animals, including deer, to keep them out of crops, and if we're using rodenticides and all these different things, if we can figure out a number of animals that are being harmed, suffering, and lose their lives for crops, then people should factor that in. The ultimate goal would be to figure out different things with innovation, with veganic farming, sorry, and various different things that could lead to less harm. But I think we need to be honest with ourselves and honest with each other. If the harm is happening, then we would want the least amount of harm. So obviously, there is a situation if crop death numbers are closer to, like, say what JD thinks they are, then that would mean that it's reasonable that killing an elk and eating one elk a year, like per person or something, is more humane than eating crops. I don't know if he's right, but we should keep this open mind, I think.
from Joe Rogan, they were very upset about it because it threw a whole wrench in. Well, Joe Rogan eats meat, but he has less effect on the planet than they do.
Now, there shouldn't be a wrench. A lot of people, the way humans think, usually goes your intuition pops in, and then you can potentially use reasoning if you try. And so, if you view something as a wrench, that means you want to be right. You want your original thought to be right. You want your intuition to be right. But that's not a good way to do things. And even if we can't get around that, and that's how our instinct just goes to that, it goes to that. But we should realize the right thing to do would be to reason and to think about what is right. And so there is no wrench. If you think one thing is the more moral thing, it turns out it's not. Then if you want to do the more moral thing, you would switch over to whatever you now learn is the more moral thing.